Hello and welcome to the Single Session blog. My name is Alicia and I'm coming to you from the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe on the beautiful shores of Lake Ontario here in Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much for joining me in this journey and for taking the time to watch this video. Single session is very cool, and people who are into single session therapy are also very cool. That's what I keep telling myself. My children roll their eyes, but I'm like, whatever. And the reason that that's actually really relevant today is the thing that we're going to talk about again is the belief system that's necessary to do single session therapy well. So this is specifically the belief system of the clinician, the thing that the clinician needs to work on before they even go into the room. And the thing that I want to talk about today is this idea of perspective. So in narrative therapy, they have lovely language for things, like really beautiful language for things. And they talk about sometimes how there are stories that live in the shadows. And I really love that idea, and I love that phrase, and it has stuck with me since I heard it many, many years ago, because it's a reminder that oftentimes there are stories in quiet. There are stories that don't get airtime. There are stories that literally live in shadows, and just because they are quiet and just because they are not told doesn't mean that they are not powerful and strong and beautiful. So when we're doing single session therapy, I think it's really important because, again, we are not problem solving. We're looking for opportunities for clients to be able to tell a different story, perhaps about the same experience, but differently. So whether a client is struggling with depression or trauma or anxiety or whatever it is, what we're hoping to do again is not solve depression, is not solve anxiety, because that's not necessarily realistic, the solving of it in 60 minutes. What we're trying to do is what the narrative people would call restorying, or develop a new narrative or a different narrative about the same experience. And this has so much to do with perspective and the clinician's need, or the clinician's power of holding multiple perspectives. So just to illustrate this kind of from a story from my own life, I'm originally from the prairies. I'm originally from Winnipeg. And in my adult life, I haven't actually gone back to the prairies very often. So I have kids that are now kind of in their teenage years that really haven't spent time on the prairies. So this past summer, I finally made it out there with them. Now, I have to tell you, I've lived in Ontario for a long time, but there still for me is something about getting off the plane in the prairies and seeing the open sky, where I have just a physical reaction to it. So for me, the sky in the prairies is uninterrupted. And there is something just so incredibly peaceful and soothing about it that I physically feel it when I am there. Probably because that's where I grew up. My kids, on the other hand, we were driving on the highway, and my kids were kind of like, I feel so exposed with all of this big, huge open sky. They were like, where are the trees in the middle of the fields of wheat? They were like, Mom, how can you like it here? There's nothing here. It feels unsafe and unprotected. We were all in the same car together. We all had the same view. We were all experiencing the same thing. For me, that open, huge sky makes me feel better. It makes me feel free and less confined, and like the world of possibilities is just open to me. For them, they're like, what the heck is this? So exposed, everyone can see me. Same experience, different perspectives. So in single session therapy, what we are really needing to do as clinicians is be able to hold the multiple perspectives and choose which one gets airtime. So I don't know who would have won in that kind of situation, whether it was me with the beautiful open sky or them with the like, what the heck is going on? But it is your job as a clinician to be particular about what gets the loudest voice. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll see you in 2 weeks.